A famous episode of SpongeBob SquarePants called Patty Hype begins with a disheveled character crawling into the Krusty Krab restaurant. He explains that he hasn't eaten in 3 days. After making sure the man has money to pay, Mr. Krabs brings him some food. The starving man looks at the food and says, "Where's the pizzazz? Look at this place. What's the theme here? Underwater? It's boring." He refuses the food, crawls away, and cries out, "Food, water, atmosphere." This scene illustrates how one does not simply desire the object directly, or desire the object alone. One also desires the method of acquiring the object, and the ways of relating to the object in particular spaces. It is not enough to simply acquire the food. One needs the food to be acquired in the right space and setting. In other words, the proper atmosphere. This surplus enjoyment beyond the object takes place within a surplus space of atmosphere. Atmosphere is a type of vague and indeterminate mood or ambiance that emerges when a person interacts with a particular space or room. Atmospheres can certainly happen naturally, such as when one is out in a beautiful forest or one is out on a beautiful beach, but quite often they are deliberately produced and manufactured within a type of architectural space. I think many of us probably have an intuitive grasp of this. We all know the common phrase, "set the mood." This means you might need to change something about the lighting, sound, colors, music, objects, or temperature of a room. It requires a type of balancing act because atmospheres have to be maintained, and they can also be disrupted. For example, playing Norwegian black metal in a classy 5-star restaurant will quickly kill the mood. Likewise, turning on bright overhead lights during a film in a movie theater will ruin the atmosphere. Atmospheres can also encourage certain kinds of responses or behaviors from other people. It changes the way that we relate to the space in which we occupy, the objects within the room, or the people we are talking to. They prepare our hearts for certain kinds of desires or relationships. For example, imagine that a woman desires to set the mood for her and her romantic partner's
anniversary.
To do so, she might play a romantic song, such as a slow jam by an R&B artist. But suppose that, after establishing proper lighting with candles in a comfortable, safe, and private environment, she plays All Star by Smash Mouth. Such a musical environment would not produce the intended romantic setting. In fact, several popular internet memes even showcase fake pictures of a couple's, quote, romantic date night playlist, where it's just 12 hours of songs like All Star or Baby Shark or What Does the Fox Say? The humor is derived from the absurdity of using these songs to produce an atmosphere suitable for a romantic encounter. This shows that many people have an intuitive grasp of how an atmosphere prepares expectations for certain experiences. Now, to be clear, atmospheres do not merely determine all emotions that happen within a space. Some responses to an environment will be more universal, such as loud noises creating sensations of fear. But there are important exceptions and differences based upon individual variation. One cannot make someone else fall in love simply by lighting candles and playing a Kenny G record. There must be a prior emotional disposition within the two subjects, in this case, a prior romantic connection, that is then fostered by the atmosphere rather than created out of nothing. These kinds of dispositions are formed in a broader context of narratives, related past experiences, culture, habits, character, or ideology. Atmospheres can also be a type of unconscious formulator of desire. Atmospheres have an ability to pull on our hearts and draw us into particular experiences. Shopping malls, for instance, understand this perhaps better than anyone else. In a shopping mall, one might lose track of time and place, falling into the patterns of movement established by the architecture. In the midst of soft music reverberating through windowless halls, adorned with dazzling advertisements and the echoed, incoherent chatter of passers-by, one enters into a dreamlike state. The subject experiences an involuntary vulnerability, leaving one receptive to the commodities on display. The atmosphere helps manufacture a process of regulated desubjectification. In other words, we lose ourselves in the trance of consumerism. In fact, there's an entire genre and aesthetic of music and art called mallsoft that is dedicated to mimicking the soundscape of a mall as well as the type of visual iconography. They have captured onto this quality of atmosphere and are attempting to mimic the surplus of atmosphere itself detached from the original space in which that atmosphere resides. And it's a really fascinating experience to listen to this genre. And I encourage you to look it up if you have time. There's plenty of playlists here on YouTube or Spotify or Bandcamp. I'll put a link in the description of the show to one of my favorite albums. Through the process of regulated desubjectification, we lose ourselves in these sorts of shopping atmospheres. It makes it easier for advertisements to work on us. Advertisements present us with new identities, certain models with whom we identify. It creates a narrative of imitating these people or celebrities in hopes of acquiring the joyful, ecstatic, or sexy experience that the person in the ad already has, but only if we consume their product. To summarize, atmosphere is an ontologically indeterminate surplus of space. It is produced and maintained by agents, requiring the interaction between sentient creatures and a material environment. Through the combinations of subjective, objective, emotional, spatial, atmospheres have the ability of getting inside of us, and consequently it can influence emotions, encourage certain behaviors and dispositions, or entice desire. In subsequent videos, I will delve more into this topic of atmosphere and explore its various implications, such as in religion or consumerism, and how it impacts the way that we relate to our own bodies. Until next time, have a blessed day.